Mike Leach bringing some defense, bringing a little offense as well. Let's talk to an insider. We've got Robbie Faulk here, who covers them for 247 Sports and Starkville Daily, the co-host of Thunder and Lightning podcast. What's going on, Robbie?
Man, nothing much. Just trying to make it through another week in the state of Mississippi.
So,
it is.
Yeah, man, I know how it is. And by the way, I had such a great time when we visited there in Starkville. I look at this Mississippi State team, and I think you guys kind of expected a nice season, those close, and probably more than the national media, although some people were giving them a lot of love. But have they exceeded your expectations so far?
It's funny. This is where I predicted them to be at this point when predicting the season. But, yeah, I think they have kind of exceeded my expectations a little bit. I thought they would lose to LSU. They did lose to LSU. But beyond that, the last 3 weeks has been as good as I've expected Mississippi State to look at this point in year 3 under Mike Leach. I've been impressed with how they've executed, the steps that they've made on the offensive side of the ball, the defensive playmaking that they've had. It's been a better team than I expected coming in the season, although they're right where I thought they could be.
I think that's a very fair assessment, and really it starts with what Will Rogers does. Look, Mike Leach has always had a quarterback that fits his system, but this guy's really grown into that leadership role, and you can count on him on any play, doesn't get frazzled when the blitzes come. He's really handled it so well. Talk about his growth.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought this was a great fit for Will Rogers when he first came to Mississippi State. He did not commit to Mike Leach. He was committed to Joe Moorhead. And quite frankly, I don't think he would have been a great fit in that offense that Joe Moorhead ran. RPOs, you're gonna put a lot of pressure on your quarterback to run the football in that offense too. But this was just a match made in heaven with he and both Mike Leach, who actually recruited Will at Washington State. So when Mike Leach came in, there couldn't have been a better fit. And I think that showed in year 1 with Will being able to step in there as a starter and I thought handle things pretty well. He was never really overwhelmed. There were some things that he had to improve on in year 1, but you could kind of see that this was a good fit for both him and Mississippi State. And every single year, it just seems like he's taken a step. And this year, he's performing as well as just about anybody has in that offense. I think at the end of the day, when his career is finished at Mississippi State, he's going to be the most prolific quarterback that Mike Leach has ever coached. And a lot of that is due to the fact that he's going to be a 4-year starter. But you can definitely see the growth there. You can see the comfortability that he has in this offense. You can see the comfortability that everybody else has in year 3. It's just being run the right way at this point. And I think a lot of that is due to Will Rogers, quarterback.
How about this defense? I think because it's a Mike Leach team, people don't ever focus on it. But this defense has been solid. Last year was solid, and this year's taken another huge step.
Absolutely. And, a lot of people are talking about the yards that they're surrendering. They give up almost 500 yards to Arkansas. But I don't think that's doing the defense justice in what they've done so far. Very good at forcing turnovers, as you guys saw in that A&M game. It's just very difficult to score on this team. They seem to be able to kind of settle in when they get inside the red zone. They played some really good red zone defense. I think they're behind A&M and Tennessee in the SEC in red zone defense, and they're a top 20 team when it comes to that stat. So they've been really good inside the red zone. They've been really good at making those plays. They had 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter against Arkansas last week to seal that game. They come up with some big sacks on third down, fourth down when they need it, some big tackles for loss. So the stats don't really tell the story when it comes to total defense of how good this unit has been under Zach Arnett, because he's going to be really aggressive. So you can expect some of those big plays from the offense, but they're going to make their share of big plays too.
How difficult of a matchup is Kentucky considering where they were and the fact that they're really playing for their season now? They've lost 2 in a row, and this is a team that had much higher expectations than their play that is playing out right now.
Yeah, I think it's been difficult for Mississippi State to win at Kentucky. They haven't played very well there. In 2014, which was their last win there, they had the number 1 team in the country. They were coming off that win over Auburn. They went down there to take on a Kentucky team that I think won 5 games that year. Wasn't a great Kentucky team, but State really struggled for the first 2.5, 3 quarters in that game. and I mean had to recover an onside kick late. So I mean it was a tough ball game back in 2014, and now you've had 3 straight times up there where you've lost. It's going to be a tough ball game, but I don't know what to think of Kentucky at this point. The offense is not really there. They haven't been able to protect up front. The running game hasn't been very good, although I think it's better with Chris Rodriguez. Will Levis wasn't just setting the world on fire, and now he's injured. So who's going to play at quarterback? And if he does, how healthy is he? I don't really know what to expect. I think it's going to boil down for Kentucky to what they can do on the defensive side of the ball. If they decide to drop 8 like we've seen in the past few weeks, I think State's going to have a lot of success. If they're disguising their blitz as well and they're forcing Will Rogers into mistakes, then this could be a really interesting ball game. But Kentucky definitely has their backs against the wall this week. It's going to be really interesting to see if they fold here or they rally the troops, because I think it's going to go either way here.
Well, and Robbie, let's consider this too: the fact that Mississippi State does have Alabama next week. Alabama's got a big game this week. They're not looking ahead. And this is something you Mississippi State cannot take it for granted, but you really can't look ahead towards Bama right now.
Agree, and that's one of the dangers of playing in the SEC. You start looking ahead in that schedule, and most of these teams can beat you on any given night, especially when you're all comparable when it comes to talent. So, and you're playing on the road. Mississippi State's got to be focused. I think they will be focused because it's been difficult to win at Kentucky. They know that. And the last time they went there was, quite frankly, just an embarrassing performance by State in 2020 when they lost 28-3 or whatever it was. That was just a really bad ball game. They threw 6 interceptions. So I think a lot of those guys remember that. I think they know that Kentucky can be a dangerous team, and they know that they have to focus in on this game. You have a lot of veterans on this team, and I think that's going to help them moving into this week.
Well, they're not going to look ahead, but we're going to look ahead. Let's get you back on the show for that one as well, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us.